Good evening, everyone. It's me, the urban spokesman, Chris Sanders, coming to you from the corner of Martin Luther King and Malcolm X, right here in Harlem, New York. All right. The reason I want to speak with you all this evening is because um, not good news, unfortunately, not good news. We have the mayor Eric Adams, he's had a very rough week, and we all want Eric Adams. We need Eric Adams to be a successful mayor. And right now, he's not being successful. So why? So currently, we've got this news up here. So, recently in the news, Eric Adams the rent board that he's in charge of, has raised the rent for the second year in a row in the highest inflationary environment that we have ever seen in my lifetime. So, so that means for me, the highest ever. And probably if you're my age or younger than me, then the highest ever for you too. And that is not a good look for Mayor Adams. Now, let's now something else he's done. McGuinness Boulevard in Brooklyn. Now, Eric Adams said that he was going to be the bike mayor. He was going to install 300 miles of protected bike lane in New York City, including a bike highway, and he has not been able to make good on those promises so far. But there is still 2 years left, so there's still a chance he can, come up with something. But so far, his administration has nothing to show um, for why people elected him to solve crime and to solve street safety, and he has not been able to do that yet. But back to McGuinness Boulevard in Brooklyn. So it is one of the most dangerous streets in all of New York. People seem to get killed or hit or maimed or something on that street. It doesn't matter if they're cyclists or pedestrians. People just seem to get hit, and everyone, including the mayor, pretends to be okay with that. Um, I don't mean like he supports that. I mean like, he's not willing to do anything about it. So, in any case, so we have this article here from Streets Blog, Cycle of Rage. They are, they came up with this extreme headline here. Mayor Adams has disgraced himself, rejecting Dot's safety plan. So they did 10 years of, so back up. They so the community activists that live in Brooklyn and in that area of Brooklyn, Greenpoint and all that, they had been doing activism and alerting the community and gathering community support in favor of redesigning McGuinness Boulevard so that it could no longer be dangerous to the people living in that community. I'm not talking about the people that are just doing business there, that are using their money to extract the wealth and that New York has created. I'm talking about the people who are living there and who have to travel there every day. Um, they got the city council member on board, the community board on board. Like they literally threw someone out of office because they wouldn't support the McGuinness safety plan and installed someone who did support it. And so Eric Adams, after he was elected, you know, like before he was elected, he said he was going to be the bike mayor, 300 miles of bike lane, all that. That's what he said he was going to do. Like he said that. Now, if he didn't want to say that, then many of us, like myself, didn't want to pull the lever. Um, so like, so that was one of the things: affordable housing and protected bike lane, and he's zero on both. And crime, again, crime is still high. People say, oh, well, the stats, but it feels high and the quality of life feels low. So gets 0 for that too. You can't be failing at all the categories. And I'm going to check the box in the next election. That's all I'm saying. I mean, I donated $50 because I don't believe in bribing politicians with dollars. I believe in here's $50 in a show of support. He performed the best. Eric Adams performed the best in the debates. That's why I was able to put him on my ballot, plus the bike lane, plus the affordable housing, plus safety and crime. All right. So, so let's read a little bit of the Streets blog, shall we? It's even worse than the headline made it sound. With his decision to sell McGuinness Boulevard safety redesign, Mayor Adams has done more than discard a deeply vetted uh, Department of Transportation plan. He's also damaged his credibility, blown up his predecessor's legacy, emboldened the donor class, and strengthened the corrupt Brooklyn party machine, empowered opponents of street safety, blindsided elected officials, and written an obit for democracy. But first and foremost, in choosing to keep McGuinness moving, or, well, keep McGuinness killing, instead of deciding to make McGuinness safe, Eric Adams has betrayed a tenet of democratic government and cast aside a very basic lesson taught to us from even before we could walk. Safety first. Yeah, so basically, Dot had a plan. They were going to implement it. Eric Adams stepped in on behalf of a donor that gave him $15,000 to his campaign and gave $80,000 to the Brooklyn allegedly Democratic Party machine. And this is why people hate Democrats. This is why they don't want to vote for Democrats, because they're being corrupt and all that. So in the last 10 years, in the last 10 years, along the 15 blocks of McGuinness between the Brooklyn Queens Expressway and the Pulaski Bridge, there have been nearly 1,700 reported crashes, according to NYPD, injuring almost 400 people, roughly 40 injuries a year. And the DOT told Community Board 1 that in just 5 years between 2016 and 2020, 230 people were injured, 13 severely, and that's 46 injuries per year. Again, that's only the ones that they talked about. In other words, you know, people are getting hurt on that street. I've been on that street. I go on that street. I rode through the Pulaski Bridge, but you know what I did? I got on that street and I was like, I immediately felt unsafe, and something told me, you need to find a different route. This isn't the right route. And so I had to go all the way out of the way just to go to where I was going in Queens, because it felt dangerous when I was over there. And look, I live in Harlem. I worry about Harlem, but I also worry about the other parts of the city, because you never know when you're going to have to travel over there. But also, you got to think about the safety of everybody, and not just yourself. So, um, in other words, okay, so of course, the other thing that is high is the dollar figures that of the Argento family, which operates. So the Argento family operates the neighborhood's main landholder, Broadway Stages. And Broadway Stages has given local politicians hundreds of thousands of dollars in campaign contributions over the years, including $80,000 to the Brooklyn Democratic Party machine and $15,000 to Mayor Adams' campaigns. Those donations paid off in the form of support from the party boss herself, who attended an opposition meeting despite the fact that her Flatbush district isn't anywhere near Greenpoint, and her admission that she wasn't really aware of the redesign proposal, but was there to support her friends. I mean, oh my God, these are the most corrupt people you ever met in your life. I mean, sleazy and trashy in every kind of way. And then they lying to your face, and they think you're supposed to just accept that. Like, this is what the Democrat Party has devolved into, and they want your vote. People like that want you to vote for them. They say blue no matter who because we support democracy. Okay, well, but then you're gonna have to prove it. I mean, and that means at the local level, especially. Um, this is an issue that's new to me because it's not necessarily my area. Girl, what? I knew about it, and I live in Harlem. I don't live in Brooklyn. But I am friends with many business owners. I'm friends with the residents who live here. County Party Leader, Assembly Member Radnice Bichotte Hammerlin told the crowd that was billed as a town hall, except that supporters of the dot plan weren't allowed in. So much for democracy. Indeed, the master of ceremonies at the Clown Hall meeting was the chief of staff to the former assembly member and current assembly member, who is elected primarily because she's a fervent supporter of the plan, wasn't invited. So the former assembly member who got thrown out uh, because they didn't support the redesign plan, uh, was allowed into this privileged meeting, and then the current assembly member for that area, uh, who was elected based on the fact that she supported the plan, was not allowed to participate. Imagine that, not being allowed to participate. I mean, corrupt. Corrupt. Can you say corrupt? I mean, and this is something that I don't ever want Black people to be associated with, and that's corruption. Because we get scrutinized unfairly more than everybody else, and the last thing you need is corruption, and this validates everyone's concern about Eric Adams' administration being corrupt. So now what's going to happen is he's going to have all these people investigating him left and right because they're like, oh, so he is corrupt. That's what the white people are saying. I mean, and as a Black person who is used to being over scrutinized unfairly, um, I mean, I can't blame him. I mean, gosh, this is a clear example of corruption. Oh, we pay you some money and then you're going to do whatever we want. We're white. We're going to make you do whatever we want because we give you a couple of dollars, even though probably Black people and Latino people getting killed the most on that street. Um, and the data shows that they like 2 to 4 times more likely to get uh, hurt in a traffic crash when they're walking or riding a bike. Okay, so then less than a month after the May 2021 hit and run killing of a local teacher, Matthew Jensen, Bill de Blasio marched with scores of community members from McGuinness Park to the crash site on McGuinness. There, he promised to fix the deadly roadways, put aside the truly epic sum of $40 million to fix it. $40 million, and Eric Adams said, scrap that. Just like that. They had, so as you can see here, they had numerous community workshops and presentations, town halls, presentation. Dot said it had conducted physical outreach at 249 intersections. It also created an online map that received more than 750 comments. It also surveyed 46 local businesses and conducted private meetings with industrial businesses, theatrical businesses, and safety advocates. In the end, the option the mayor casually discarded and had the support of in the end, the option that the mayor casually discarded had the support of Assemblymember Emily Gallagher, Councilmember Lincoln Rustler, State Senator Kristen Gonzalez, and the borough president Antonio Reynoso, and U.S. Representative Nadia Velasquez, and perhaps most important, the majority of the attendees of the community board meeting itself. So basically, they got all their elected officials on board for this project. And Eric Adams, in one foul swoop, said, all these elected officials do not matter to me. I am doing what my donors say. I mean, if that isn't a clear-cut case of corruption and bribery, and I mean, I mean, good Lord. I mean, yeah, I don't even know what to say. Like, it's very disappointing for me because I supported Eric Adams for mayor, and because he said he was gonna fix the crime, fix the street safety. He's gonna be the bike mayor. He's gonna get affordable housing, and again, zero on everything. I mean, zero on everything, on every failed on every level. I don't know a mayor who failed at everything. At least de Blasio was able to get pre-K and a few other things. But Eric Adams, I mean, he's just got anything. He's 2 years in. He doesn't got anything to his name. He can't claim any victories. There are no victories. Why are you going to vote for him? He's not going to do anything. Like, good Lord. So, the opposition group with the muscle car motto boasted that it has the support of many local businesses, only to be caught garnering the support of at least three trucking companies whose drivers have been who have only to be caught garnering the support of at least three trucking companies whose drivers have killed people in crashes in recent years. Streets blog has reported. More shamelessly, the Keep McGuinness Moving crowd, I guess that's what they're calling themselves. Um, keep McGuinness moving at the expense of the community around you, the people who live there. Not they keeping McGuinness moving at their expense, even though they just driving through. The Keep McGuinness crowd repeatedly says it's not opposed to safety, it's opposed to this plan. That is always okay. Let's back up. Whenever somebody tells you I'm opposed to this plan, it's never good enough for them to take the plan that has all of the support of all the government officials, the community board, all the people who voted in the election on that issue. That's never good enough for them. They say, "Oh, we're just opposed to this plan." No, bitch, you're opposed to all of them. You're opposed to fixing the street so that it is safe. You can't sacrifice a couple miles per hour to not kill someone. And I always say, killing someone takes longer. Like, it's gonna, like, even if you drive off, like people are clearly doing here, hitting and running, um, lawlessness that Eric Adams said he would fix. Um, 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 uh, you know, I mean, it's just not. It makes me severely disappointed. Um, you know, that the mayor can be swayed by money in this way and brazenly, can be swayed against his own promises that he made when he was trying to get elected. Um, I mean, that's a serious problem for me. I mean, I didn't want him to be another Lori Lightfoot, where basically he leaves office and basically everyone hates him. But that's where he's going. I mean, even his popularity among black people has tanked because he hasn't been able to deliver any results on anything. He has nothing to show for his time of being in office for 2 years. Zero, nothing, nothing. So that money bought the mayor's ear. The money from the Broadway stages, from the what's that family's name? From the Argento family, that money from the Argento family and from Broadway stages, uh, you know, bought Mayor Adams' ear, and the mayor demanding a special briefing. Such briefings are rare. Typically, individual road safety projects don't make it all the way up to the big desk at City Hall. That's total corruption. That's how you know it's corruption because the mayor doesn't usually dip his hands into the details like that. When I heard that Mayor Adams was going to get a special briefing, I reached out to City Hall spokesman Charles Lutvak, who told me on June 30th that traffic safety was a key priority for Mayor Adams and that he receives regular briefings on crashes and ongoing transportation policies. Okay, this is a lie. This is a lie. This is like a cover. You don't believe the hype. They're lying. They're lying to you, Charles Lutvak. He's lying for the mayor. Um, and insulting all of our intelligence. We shouldn't accept that. Lookback reiterated that any decision that Adams would make would be based on the merits. Lies. You don't have to say that if that's what you're doing. You don't have to say it's based on the merits. If that's what you're actually doing, you don't have to say that. Just saying. Like like and not based on campaign contributions. Like, see, I would never have to say that because I don't base my decisions on campaign contributions. I base my decisions on what I think is right for me and the people around me. He said the same thing this week when Coburn emailed him for a comment once we learned that Adams had made his decision and that it was not, in fact, on the merits. Since then, we've learned so much more, specifically about the role of Adams' shadowy advisor, Ingrid Lewis Martin, a longtime opponent of reducing car use and a proud foe of transit, as she told NY1. So I didn't even know about this person because had I known about her, I probably would have been like, don't vote for him. I would have said, don't vote for him in the primary. Like, I was truly torn. I mean, Scott Stringer was technically my number one choice, but I thought, after the debates, that Eric Adams was an acceptable choice, and I did select him on my ranked choice ballot, which I wouldn't have done if I knew he had shadowy advisors uh, who were anti-transit, anti-car. Um, Definitely wouldn't have. He wouldn't have even made my ballot. Um, um, Martin, we're told, pushed Adams to reject the dot plan and can now use her success to block future road diet plans, which the dot has documented repeatedly made roadways safer. But this is the same government insider and trusted Adams aide who single-handedly got the Willoughby Avenue open street wiped off the map in response to a few car drivers who don't like it. She wasn't elected, but she sure acts like it. And Mayor Adams is diminished because, well, yeah, it's his fault ultimately. He's supposed to be He's supposed to be the mayor. He's the elected one. And it's his responsibility ultimately. So we can't blame her, but we can blame the people that he surrounds him. We can blame him for surrounding himself with people who don't have our safety at heart. And when you have someone advising you who doesn't have the safety of the people at heart, you get results. You get 2 years into office as mayor, and you have no accomplishments, no safety accomplishments to write home about. Like people say, oh, well, the crime stats are lower, but that's just no one believes that because they're seeing day to day people spazzing out on them. Yesterday, someone was spazzing out on the train. They see the drugs, they see the crime, the unreported drugs, um, around their kids, the drivers hitting and running on people. That's what that doesn't get reported. That's what they seeing, and what the stats will not be able to capture, especially now since there's so many. So, so this is her right here. hmm I mean, they really made her look bad in that pic, but you know, her questionable behavior also makes her look bad. So there you go. Um, so he could still revert to the dots plan, but it's more likely that existing vetted proposal will be watered down to appease trucking and political interests. Former DOT Commissioner Hank Gutman, who ran the agency for the last year of the de Blasio administration, offered only disgust after reading about Mayor Adams' move to cast aside his and other DOT officials' hard work. These decisions are supposed to be based on the merits, not political connections, and safety should come first. Very disappointing. Worse, they set a precedent the next time a handful of neighborhood car owners don't want a roadway redesigned for safety, or 10 of their parking spaces converted to 70 city bike parking spaces, or a slip lane turned into a plaza, or a speed limit lowered, or garbage containers gotten out of pedestrians' way, or even a bike rack installed. They'll know the playbook. Spread some money around and get Ingrid Lewis Martin on the phone. Gosh, this is just disgusting. And to top that off, so the mayor mocks number one, he didn't even know who the council person for the district was, but then he mocked them. This guy is totally not fit. We probably need a mechanism to get rid of him. I don't mean to say that, but I kind of mean to say that because he's like embarrassing me. I'm black and I'm embarrassed. Like, he made me look bad. God, he's so out of his depth. It's so irritating that such horrible black people get elected to office. I can't believe. Ugh, I'm mad at myself. So Eric Adams, let's just take a second. Eric Adams tried to push that Inez Dickens on us in Harlem. He didn't endorse anyone else in the city council races, but he endorsed Inez Dickens. She likes to park her car on the sidewalk like he likes to park his car on the sidewalk. And she missed, I don't know how many votes, like over 200 votes in the assembly, which she currently sits. And then she wanted to run for another office, and she thought we were supposed to vote for her. Oh my God. I I worked very hard to get as many people as possible to pick anybody other than Inez Dickens. And thank you to everyone who showed up and selected Yusuf Salam instead, rejecting Eric Adams' choice, rejecting Eric Adams' horrible choice for Black people. It's not looking out for Black people at the level that I would have expected of him, and it's irritating because we are going to be the most likely to be harmed and hurt by his bad decisions, uh, and New Yorkers are going to think long and hard before they vote for another black person. I mean, this is America. That's the way they operate. Like, I mean, this is spectacularly bad. Like, it's one thing, what's his name? Dinkins was too nice and too soft or whatever. I mean, but Eric Adams is behaving in a way that's fully incompetent and fully not fit for the moment. We need a leader who's going to lead with a vision, and he has no vision, no accomplishments. And it's frustrating. Let me tell you. I mean, but with that said, if he pulls it together, I'll still vote for him in 2025 if he can pull it together. But right now, it's looking pretty bad. And right now, I'm probably voting for anybody else who decides to run against him on the ballot, on the ranked choice ballot. Literally anybody else. If you don't support street safety, you don't support black people, and just because you're black doesn't mean that you support black people outright. You have to be doing it in policy, in real life. You can't just, it's not enough to just be black. It's not enough to, support a few rich black people. It's you got to support regular, everyday black people. Um, so basically, Eric Adams was making fun of Lincoln Wrestler, whatever. I'm so angry. I don't feel like reading the article. But Thursday, there will be a rally at City Hall to encourage the mayor to secure, to start securing victories, to start securing his legacy if he wants to have one beyond one term. And everybody says, oh, don't be like Eric Adams and Lori Lightfoot. Lori Lightfoot was mayor of Chicago. She pissed everybody off and they voted for her off the ballot. She did not even make the runoff. She got trounced. She got absolutely destroyed. Miss, we are a driving city in the middle of Chicago, one of the biggest cities in America, one of the most walkable cities in America, with the most transit, with lots of black people who use public transportation, walking and biking more than everybody else. That's what she wanted to go for. And like Eric Adams, she was a former police officer on the force, and you know, and then she didn't even make the top two. So I mean, if that's what Eric wants, I mean, you know, I'd rather him be successful. I'd rather him be successful, and I'm happy to not be disappointed. If he can start, putting some W's on the table, so we have a reason to vote for him again. I mean, good lord. so So yeah, so there you have it. You know, Unfortunately, our mayor is not living up to the promise that he had. He had so much promise, and he's not been able to accomplish anything. And there you go. So, so what does that mean? What does all this mean? That means that we need to get involved. Um, I don't, how do you organize around blatant corruption? I mean, how do, how do you organize around blatant corruption other than get rid of the corrupt people? Um, you know, I mean, truly, like, I don't want it to come to that, but you know, I'm willing to do whatever it takes to secure safety for and security for Black people. Um, so yeah. So I mean, if it means we have to get rid of one of our own, then that's what we got to do. Get rid of one of our own out of office, then that's what we got to do. Um, like, gee whiz. It was like like it's so disappointing. And yeah, that's it. All right. Have a good night.